What's up, everyone? Welcome back into our mock draft coverage. We are looking at the number 13 pick now, Charlotte Hornets. So helping me in today's mock draft is my good buddy, Rod Boone. Thank you for being here. You got 13 and 15. I'm only doing lottery for this, so we're just talking about 13 with a team that doesn't have a coach right now, officially. And we're coming up on the actual draft. We talked last year when you did this mock draft, Rod, that there was two holes that needed to be filled. It was a big man hole and then a wing hole to kind of like take some defense away from LaMelo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
obviously,
correct.
James Bouknight was the pick. So the big man hole, what happened throughout the season? Was that still a hole?
It was still a hole. I mean, even though they traded for Mason Plumlee around the draft to kind of help bring him in, he's kind of a stopgap player. He had a decent season for them. He was okay, serviceable, but I think they want to kind of look a little bit more long-term. So with that being the case, that's why I think maybe, Mark Williams of Duke, center, makes a good choice there at 13 for the Hornets because they've actually also had him in for individual workout, leading up into the draft, which obviously is a big thing for teams. Get a look at him to see how he looks in certain positions, certain drills. So, I mean, you're right. Center still is a spot for him to actually kind of still fill. So I believe a guy like Mark Williams of Duke, you bring him in here, you give him 2 or 3 years, I mean, he compared himself to Robert Williams, the Celtics. That's the case. I'm sure the Hornets would love that if you'd be able to give him something like that.
So Mark Williams, we have it here, is the third best center. Like they rank all these, right? He's the third best center in the draft behind Chet and Jalen. Obviously, those two guys, Jalen Duren, are both gone. There's like 100 Jalens now. I don't know. Jalen Duren.
Oh.
They're gone in the mock draft. So Mark is 20 and a half years old, 7 feet, 7'7" wingspan, average 17 and 11 in that last year at Duke. What about him do you think blends so well with the roster that you have right now with these young guys? Like you got Bouknight, you got Kai Jones, you got LaMelo, you got Miles Bridges. How would Mark fit into that?
Well, first of all, he's another young player you bring in here. I mean, with the Hornets right now, you want to build this core up, have guys around the same age. So therefore, as you kind of move down the pike, so to speak, they all kind of can grow here together. So you bring in a Mark Williams. He also fits because he's one of those type of guys who can basically do well in a pick and roll. We asked him about that during the process of interviews, and he mentioned how he's actually got a little bit more quicker in terms of defensively this past year at Duke and being able to kind of slide his feet and play guards a little bit more. So if you're able to do that with LaMelo Ball, whether it's defense or offense, play a pick and roll or guard and pick and roll, have somebody like him out there to kind of help groom you and basically be like somebody you can throw alley-oops to, he would be great for them right now. So I think just his prototypical body, you mentioned his wingspan, very long, he's very tall. So I think you bring somebody like him up in here and you kind of just give a couple of years to kind of groom him. And again, a couple of years from now, he could be somebody you can really count on for sure.
And I'm talking about a couple of years. This Charlotte team is a team that made the play-in. Obviously didn't make it to the playoffs, but it's that stepping stone. We even saw with the Grizzlies, right? It was play in, lose, play in, win, and then playoffs. Is this Mark Williams someone that can come in, make an impact, and it's like a win now, let's try and get to the playoffs? Or is it that building? Like you mentioned a few years, is that another building piece?
Well, I think it's probably a building piece. He probably can help you a little bit, but I think you, the Hornets, at this point, when you, as you mentioned, you got to the play-in tournament the past 2 years and didn't get past that round, past that game, and lost badly both times. That's part of the reason why they went out there and made a head coaching change. And they're going to bring in Kenny Atkinson to kind of change things around in their mind, get to that next level. So if you're going to get to that next level, I'm not sure you can do it with a rookie center. So you want to be able to maybe bring somebody in who's a veteran who has a little bit of experience there. Maybe have Mark Williams play behind him and groom him, because you also have Kai Jones there, as we talked about. He's still on the roster. He's a player that didn't play very much last year, but they consider him like a center as opposed to more of a power forward. So you got to find room for both of those guys, I would think. So I think Mark would probably be more of somebody you look toward the future with, although he can help you out in a spot. But the Hornets need to go out there, for my mind, and get somebody who's a veteran presence to be able to help him out come playoff time.
Okay, I actually really like that. I like Mark Williams at Charlotte. Here is my one last question for you, Rod. I said, of course, that I would not allow any trades. No one's trading. You got to pick where you are. Let's pretend I'm maybe not the commissioner of the NBA. I know it's hard to imagine for a second. And I'm not making you choose at 13. Is a trade more attractive because you do have 13, like you have 13 and 15, right? So 2 first-round picks. Is that more attractive to trade, or is bringing in young talent still a priority?
I think if you're asking me, I think those assets are tradable because we just mentioned James Bouknight and Kai Jones. They were 2 first-round draft picks last year. They didn't play very much this past season, which is unusual, as you know, for lottery picks for most teams, because you want to give them a little bit of that play, that time to kind of go out there and just grow on the court experience, so to speak. But they didn't play very much last year. So you bring in 2 more guys this year who will do something similar. I'm not sure that helps you out in terms of trying to win now. It'll help you out building your roster up long term, absolutely. But in terms of being able to turn the roster over, go out there and get maybe a center or something like that who's maybe can help you out right now, those picks 13 and 15 to me are tradable. So I can see them maybe keeping one. I'm not sure they'll keep both because, again, where will those guys play? You got to stash maybe one in Greensboro or something in G League and hope that at some point in the next year or so he can find a spot on the roster.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting spot to be in. It's a good spot to be in, right? Because there's options, but it definitely is an interesting one. Rod, thank you so very much for your time once again. And I mean, draft night's going to be something.
It is going to be very interesting because, as you know, with 2 draft picks, you know, almost side by side, that's kind of unheard of. So it's going to be an interesting night for the Hornets. We'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone watching at home, thank you for following along. We're going to have Rod's Twitter handle somewhere up here or to the side. I don't know. Go follow him. He's great. And make sure you are tuned in tomorrow for our final lottery draft pick, number 14. Let's go.